Most people will stay in the middle class forever in their life, and it's not entirely because they're lazy. It's not entirely because they're just stupid. It's not entirely because they don't have potential to get out of that and rise to different occasions, but because they follow a certain system and a certain mindset and even a certain lifestyle that quickly will lock them in place and trap them. The middle class isn't a financial category, but it's merely a psychological trap if you think about it. But today I will be breaking down to you why many people will stay stuck in these pathways and how to break out of that before it becomes permanent and you're stuck there. You know, the middle class is more so built on the comfort of life and not the freedom of it. The number one reason that people stay in the middle class is comfort. Middle class life gives you kind of just enough in life, just enough to feel stable, just enough income to feel stable, just enough free time to relax, just enough lifestyle to feel successful in a way, just enough safety to avoid risk in life, but not enough to grow financially when it comes to things. Comfort doesn't feel dangerous in life, but it kills ambition quietly. Rich people chase freedom, right? Middle class people chase comfort. Broke people chase survival. And only one of those can create wealth over time. You know, they rely on either maybe one income stream, The biggest financial trap of the middle class is just one income. One job, one paycheck, one source of survival. And I've talked about this many times on my channel. If you want to break free from the grasp of society that life has on people, you have to expand yourself and expand your skills. And you have to be able to do multiple things to get multiple sources of income because that's the only way you can break free and really elevate yourself. I feel it's not even a thing that I feel though. It's just, I feel like it's simple math. This one job that you're having, it's probably already not keeping you, just above surface level. So if you add on little side so if you add on little side gigs to that, you're basically improving your chances to break free and have more space in between, paychecks and all that. If that job disappears, so does everything. Think about it. Rich people treat income like their chairs. If one breaks, they still have more to sit on, right? Middle class people treat income like a tightrope. If it snaps, then they'll fall, and what happens after that. The middle class will stay the middle class because they never build. They never build a side income. They never invest their income. They, never get skills that can become scalable and grow into beautiful things. They don't own assets. Sorry, they don't own assets. I said that a little weird. You know, they don't have automated money systems. One income will equal no leverage. No leverage is no wealth. Leverage to me is money. Money is leverage. Money gives you leverage to become more free in your life, allows you to have more time, more more time to make better decisions and actually let you do what you want to truly do in life. A lot of us don't really do what we want to do because we're stuck in these traps of these 9 to 5 jobs, of things that we don't even want to really even be doing a lot of the time. We don't even enjoy. Like, do you want to be stuck like that? Like, make sure you have enough leverage to really expand yourself and become who you're truly supposed to become, and what you truly want to, evolve in over time. They also tend to upgrade their lifestyle faster than their income. And I talked about this very recently. The moment most people start making more money, they immediately spend more. New car, new apartment, new clothes. They get a new phone, maybe. New subscriptions, new nights out. The expenses just rise and rise and rise over time. And I've kind of been susceptible to this also. I feel as if things get better, maybe I need a new phone after a while. I just got the 17 after, having a 13 for a while. And because of that, bills are going up. I'm having to pay more. And it's just gonna, life will have to evolve eventually, and you're gonna have to accommodate for these new expenses that come into your life, right? But it's smartest to keep them to a minimum. If you don't need to evolve or upgrade something, then don't. It's simple like that. Keep it to a minimum. Middle class people don't earn more to invest, but they earn more to upgrade in life. That is why that their bank account stays the same. No matter how much their income rises, you meet a guy who's making 100K a year, but how much is he really saving? You know, a guy who's spending at least 50 to 75K. He's only left with merely 7 or 25K. You just really don't understand the concept of it, because people think, oh, I make more, than my life is going to be a lot easier because my expenses will be flat. But they upgrade their lifestyle, and then things just get harder to keep track of. Wealthy people will let their lifestyle lag behind their income. Middle class people will let their lifestyle chase their income. Think about it. That gap between what you earn and what you keep is what creates wealth. Most people never built that gap, and that's why they're lacking behind. People fear investing. And when I tell you this, some people may think it's crazy. Like, why people think investing is scary? Like, it's crazy, right? I've tried to talk to people in person, um, and I've tried to really explain to them how important it is to invest in their lifestyle, and they kind of just blow me off. Like, oh, that's stupid. Like, what, do I look like the person who's tried to save? Da 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 this, da 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 that. And I just kind of look like, I'm really merely just trying to help. Because I was the same way before. I was like, well, I can't invest. I don't have the capital for that. But it all just starts with one deposit of it. Sorry, it's just it just blows my mind that people aren't willing to understand that they can be wrong at times. You have to really make yourself malleable and let yourself listen to other people who may know something that you don't. You know, they're just terrified of losing money, They're terrified of the stock market. They're terrified of Bitcoin. They're terrified of starting a business, taking risks, just volatility, and they're very uncertain with their decisions at times. So what do? They just save money instead of invest. And over time, your money is going to become a lot weaker over the day, or over the days, yeah, over the years. Like, your money is going to decrease in value, and the only way to really try to beat out inflation is to invest. you know Saving is very slow. Saving is static. Saving loses value to inflation. You can't save your way to wealth. Meanwhile, the wealthy put money in the place where it grows, and they can actually use it over time. Stocks, ETFs, real estate, business assets, Bitcoin, even if you want to throw it in there. Skills, really importantly, that will increase their income. The middle class will avoid the risk, right? And end up risking their entire future in the whole entire process. But the wealthy will take the calculated risks and grow even through the downturns. They do what everyone else does. Middle class people will love to follow the script that society gives them. Go to school, get a job, buy a car, rent or even buy a home, spend weekends relaxing, take a vacation once a year, work until you're 65, hope retirement is just enough. And I don't want to say that you shouldn't enjoy your weekends, because life is very short, but it comes to a point where you have to really try to weigh the options. Do you want to, you know, enjoy a lot of weekends, or do you want to save, you know, Save time. Time is so important to really do what you want to do going forward. You could really spend time wasting time now, or you can really sit down and just focus. The script will keep you stable, but not wealthy over time, if that's what your goal is. And people, maybe that's not your goal. Maybe you just want to have fun. And, I can't stop you from what you want to do. You can make your own decisions in time, and you can understand where that will lead you. I mean, maybe you don't understand, but you'll find out where it'll lead you eventually. You cannot become rich by copying people who aren't rich. The wealthy people will break the script. They work differently, they think differently, they spend very differently, they invest differently, they learn differently, they socialize differently, they take risks differently. These are the people that you want to emulate in a way, that you want to aspire to be. Because, if you do what everyone else does, you'll end up where everyone else ends up. If your family, I'm not trying to come at you, but if your family, they lack certain things, maybe where it's money wise or discipline, if you continue to follow their entire, blueprint for life, then you're gonna end up in ways that they do. You know, really importantly, they never build high value skills. Middle class people will often settle for skills that they can't scale over time. Basic customer service work, maybe, basic office work, slow growth careers, low leverage jobs, skills that don't increase their earning power. Meanwhile, wealthier people will learn skills like sales, like marketing, like editing, coding, investing, communication, leadership, digital creation, entrepreneurship in a whole. They just learn skills that multiply their income. The middle class will learn skills to just maintain it. And it's crazy. They surround themselves with other middle class thinkers, and I kind of touched on this a little earlier. Your environment is everything. If your friends fear investing, they think $20 is too much to invest. They only talk about entertainment, partying every weekend. They don't read really, or even at all. Never improve. They never build. They never think long term. You become exactly that. To escape this, though, you need to surround yourself with people who think bigger, who take risks, who build things, who discuss ideas, invest money, plan their future. They value growth overall. They break the normal rules, maybe that your family or even just people would follow. You will not outgrow the mindset of the people around you. And maybe you're an outlier, but you got to prove to yourself that you're an outlier. So how do you break out of the middle class? And I'll kind of build a roadmap for you so you can, follow what you're gonna want to do. Maybe starting out, build more than one income stream. Start small, a side hustle. Invest, digital skills, maybe a content creation. You really can pick one, and you can kind of dive really deep into it. Learn a lot about it. Just build up the knowledge. I feel like stop upgrading your lifestyle when your income starts to increase, when you start to see that things are working out and your money is starting to gain a little bit of traction. Keep your lifestyle the same. Keep living frugally. Like it'll really pay off over time. Invest automatically, weekly, no skipping, maybe even daily. No overthinking it. $10, $20, just be consistent with it. You're going to want to learn skills that increase your income. Skills are wealth multipliers. And you'll hear this a lot, even on YouTube, not even just on my channel. Skills are what will really get you to that next level of life in general. And I want you to hear me when I say this next one. Please get uncomfortable on purpose. Growth lives outside of the comfort zone. Please, like, if you go through life just wanting to, lounge around, kind of just go when things are handed to you, really amount to you'll never really amount to what you could. You could amount to something, but you never know what you can become if you don't put 1,000% into it. Stop following the crowd. The crowd will stop at the middle, and you're trying to go past that. You're not trying to be in the middle. You're trying to be either at the top, you're trying to just grow. You're trying to be the best version of yourself. And if you're not, you should be. Why aren't you? Build habits your future self will thank you for. Your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, even your late 20s, whatever. Depend on what you do right now. So look, most people will stay middle class forever, but it's because they do what everyone else does. They choose growth, they choose comfort over growth, they choose fear over opportunity, they choose routine over ambition. But that doesn't have to necessarily be your story. You don't need luck, you don't need a miracle, you don't need a rich family. You need new habits, new skills, new ways of thinking, a new environment around you, new discipline that'll keep you bound on your track. The moment you stop living like you're in the middle class, you stop being middle class and you start building a life that separates you from the pack. Your future wealth is determined by the choices that you make right now. And all I'm saying is just become that exception. Thank you for listening, though. It's TNO. I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, I'll see y'all soon.